Hi, everyone. I'm Ian Helms at Queerty, and I'm joined by the super dashing, super charming comedian, Broadway star, family man, and actor Claybourne Elder, who plays, or should I say played, John Adams in the hit period show, The Gilded Age, that's currently airing its third season on HBO. Thanks so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You've said before how meaningful it is to bring a queer character to life in this historical setting where these stories aren't often told. Now that John's arc has come to its infamously shocking close, what has stayed with you the most emotionally or personally about playing him?
I got cast in the show in 2019. And so, though we've only had 3 seasons, it's been a part of all of our lives for such a long time.
Mhm.
As a queer person, getting to play a queer character on a large stage is very exciting. I think that for a lot of people, it was either like, great, so you'd said in the 1890s, so what? You're going to be like, you're going to marry a woman and you're going to pretend to be, you're going to have gay lovers and stuff. And that's how, that's how people lived.
Right.
It was totally normal. But to take this kind of very modern stance of like, no, he's actually going to try to live in his own way, like navigate this world in a way that doesn't necessarily make sense, was so exciting to me when I read it. I was like, oh yeah, that is great. He's going to take goodness back for the gay people, which I think sometimes, we often get played as the villains. So that was very exciting to me as well, just to be a part of it in that way.
Yeah, you're not a Ward, you're a John. There's a real shift in Oscar after John's death, especially in how he carries his grief and his interactions with his family. Were you and Blake Ritson, who plays Oscar, close on set? And did you talk about how your characters' relationships changed the stakes for both of them throughout the seasons?
It's very nerve-wracking to play across from a straight actor in gay love stories. I was really nervous, especially because one of the first things we're shooting was a love scene where we're kissing and like throwing each other on the bed. And right away when we met, I was like, oh, we're going to be best friends. He was so lovely and open and wonderful and made it all so easy and nice. And, we were spending all this time together, especially the first season, which we shot during the pandemic. So we would go to Newport, Rhode Island to shoot 1 3-minute scene, but we'd be there for like 2 weeks, eating dinner together, just the two of us all the time, every day for like weeks, and hanging out. Like, do you want to go on a walk on the beach again? Because we're each other's entire life.
Yeah.
And that was very fun and a very nice way to kind of strengthen the bond between us. And now we've become very good friends. And when we both found out what was going to happen to our characters, it was very sad. Like, we call each other immediately and we're talking and talked for hours about it. I love John very much and I love Oscar very much. And so I really want the best for him too. And this way of this kind of redemption that he's had because of it was a sad and lovely thing. Rather than just have the storyline kind of continue on, nothing happening. Something exciting happening is giving attention to the characters. I think that it'd be easy to turn it into a trope and be like, yeah, it's bury your gays. Or you could treat it like it's a beautiful storyline that happened in a unique way that is like a unique piece of storytelling. And so I think that for Oscar, that sense of wishing you could go back and do things differently, I think resonates really strongly. That for me is what has been the most powerful part of the piece of storytelling.
Do you think that the show still made a political statement by showing John and Oscar's love and the grief and the legacy with such care?
I don't read anything. I don't read stuff about the shows, but I know there was a lot of backlash about there being a gay storyline. There were some people that were really offended there was a gay storyline at all. That in itself is taking a stand on being something to be like, no, this is what we're going to do. We're going to tell the story of New York and we're going to include these stories. And I hope that they continue to do that as the seasons grow, because New York was a kaleidoscope of really interesting things in that time and always has been and always will be. I hope that they continue to explore those parts.
I've gathered that you have an older gay brother as well. Does he watch the show? Is he a fan of the show?
He does. He does watch the show. I had told my family. My family knew what was going to happen.
Sure.
But I was like, I'm not going to tell you when it's going to happen. And it's done in such a shocking way.
Yes.
Everybody was like, no, it was now. And actually, I was out of town. I was in Berlin when the show aired. And so I woke up in the morning and there were all of these text messages from people. And I was like, oh no, there was a horrible emergency. There was something horrible just happened. It's like, oh no, I'm dead.
Yes, it was me. I was the emergency.
I'm
yes.
My son, I haven't showed it to my son yet. I was like, Dad gets hit by a carriage, he dies, but it's all pretend. We were at dinner the other day and people are coming up to me and saying, I'm so sorry you're dead. So nice to tell him in advance what's going on so he knows
Yeah.
what they're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not a ghost. I'm here physically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had stunt rehearsal and it's like jerking me up into the air and throwing me on the ground. And I was like, yeah, this is fine. It's funny dying on a TV show because after the read through, every time I would run into somebody on set, they'd be like, oh, hi, are you okay? Are you all right? How are you feeling? Like
Yeah.
it really is like, am I actually dead? Like, am I really dying? I'm going to be able to talk to you, right? But everyone was so nice about it.
Are you currently working on any other projects or continuing to explore queer history or layered queer characters like John? And is that something you're intentionally seeking out?
My first big job, I had a manager who I was doing interviews, and he was like, don't tell people you're gay. If somebody asks, don't tell them. If somebody asks, you can avoid the question, tell them you don't want to talk about it. And I just remember being like, I already did that. I did that for 18 years in Utah growing up as a Mormon. I'm not going to do that ever again. And fired the manager, or we parted ways because I wasn't willing to play by the rules and of his game. And did it hurt me? Sure. Oh yeah. I've lost lots of jobs because of it. For me, I've been an out gay actor the whole time. I don't think that the only people that should play gay characters are gay people. I think that the spectrum of sexuality is too complicated. I would say that I think now is a more important time than any for us to be telling our own stories. We don't have to just be a part of anybody else's story or wait for somebody to decide to include a gay storyline on a show. We should make the show. We should write the story. We should do the play. Whether this is going to be something that is a large audience loves or not, that's okay. But we have to start telling those stories ourselves.
Am I reading between the lines that are you writing something? Are you working on something yourself?
I'm writing lots of things. I have this solo show that I've been touring around for almost 3 years that I'm continuing to tour through next year. I just recorded an album of the music of that show. It is a time in which I am really excited to write and to tell those things.
The Gilded Age was just renewed for a 4th season. Obviously, you sadly won't be there at a time when DEI is under such constant attack. And this show is so special because it kind of succeeds in telling stories that center queer characters and people of color and women in super complex roles, and even touches on sex work. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think part of the show's success is that the audience don't even necessarily realize how inclusive it is and they just love the characters, or is it bigger than that?
I think that the stories are all told in a very human way that make them universal enough that we all know we can all experience them. They did take a big stand on being like, we're going to tell all these kinds of stories. Do I think they could tell more? Maybe they could. And, maybe the 4th season is an opportunity to maybe stretch those legs a little bit more. But I do think that they've done they've really taken a strong stand on doing it because, again, the whole team behind the making of the show has tried really hard to do things that are brave and change the way we look at the way the stories are told and what's possible.
All right, less serious questions. Is there anything that you particularly loved about Gilded Age fashion that you wish would come back into style?
Sort of all of it and sort of none of it. It's very uncomfortable, but it's so fun to be fancy. When we were doing our costume fittings initially, the props people are in charge of like rings and pocket watches and things. They put us into this huge room, and the prop guy was like, okay, pick out the stuff you feel like you would have. And they had all this vintage stuff. We're like, what family ring you thought they would have. And I chose one that had a lion on it because my son is a Leo. Sometimes the costume team would want to pick out what cufflinks and things to wear, but oftentimes they would let us choose like little bits of things that we wanted, which made it was just fun. It was nice. And maybe some of those things didn't end up back in the box when I left on the Gilded Age.
I won't tell. Your secrets stay with me. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time. This has been fantastic. You were a fantastic character throughout the show, and you will certainly be missed, despite still being here presently with us in real life. And I'm excited to see what the future holds for you. So thank you.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.